Good morning, yogis. My name is Dennis, and thank you for joining us on this mild, beautiful Mississippi morning. Today we're going to be doing a vinyasa flow with a mixture of some standing, seated, and prone position poses. Always remember to be kind to your body and don't go too far into a stretch to where it hurts. Yoga is supposed to feel good for you. Always remain in the breath. Try to get your breath in nice controlled inhale and deep exhales. And if your mind starts drifting off to thinking about things that happened yesterday or things that might happen tomorrow, just remember that's okay. You can always go back to your breath. Get back to your breath, to that neutral state, that moment that you're in. And we're going to begin with a few warm-ups. And we'll get into tabletop position. I'm going to do a few cat-cows here, about 10 breaths. You want to inhale, look forward. Exhale, push away from the mat. And do about 10 breaths. Follow the breath. Focus on how your spine's rolling up and how your belly's pushing to the mat. About 4 more. Come up into plank position. Hands under your shoulders. Your hips about the same height as your shoulders. We're going to hold this for a good 5 breaths. Remember, in this position, you want to push away from the mat as hard as you can. Open your shoulders. Engage your tailbone. And breathe. You'll notice I'll keep looking over to my left. I've got a few cheat sheets to help me remember this flow. And get up, extend forward on our toes and Chaturanga, slowly and breathing. Halfway hold, push back up, remembering to breathe. Chaturanga again. All the way to the mat. We're going to bring our elbows under our shoulders into Sphinx Pose. Engage your glutes. Breathe. These back bends are really good for somebody that sits in a vehicle or at a desk all day. If you'd like to take it just a little bit further, you can go into seal pose by simply extending your arms, straightening your arms. Some people cannot do this simply because they're not made to bend that way. I am. My wife is not. So if it hurts, just stay in Sphinx Pose. Put your hands under your shoulders. Let's push back up to plank. Lean forward, Chaturanga. All the way to the mat. Untuck the toes. Engage the hands. Go into upward facing dog for 5 breaths. The only thing that should be touching the mat is your hands and the tops of your feet. push away from the mat and breathe. Untuck the toes, engage the core, push up into downward dog. I'm going to stay here for 10 breaths. You can walk the heels back and forth a little bit. Be gentle. Your heels might not be touching the ground, and that's okay. Gently bend your knees to the mat. Come back into tabletop. Put your knees about the mat's width apart. Touch your big toes together. Relax your sit bones all the way to your heels. You can put your elbow on the mat and crawl your fingers out for child's pose. If you'd like to put your forehead on the mat, you can. It's probably best. I'm going to keep mine off the mat a little so I don't get too loud into the microphone. And breathe. Inhale, feel your belly push into the tops of your thighs. Exhale, feel your hips fall to the floor. I'll stay here for 3 to 4 more breaths. Gently ease on back up to tabletop. And then we're going to do balancing tabletop. Take your right leg, extend it straight back. Point your feet towards the mat. Take your left arm, extend it straight out. Extend your fingers. And hold it here and breathe. It's like somebody's pulling your hand and pulling your foot. Three more breaths. If you'd like to take this a little bit further, we can crunch and do 5 crunches. You inhale, you extend your arms out, your arm out and your leg out. Exhale, crunch. 1. Inhale, crunch. 2, 3, 4, 5. Back to tabletop. Shake out your right wrist a little bit. There's a lot of pressure on it. I also recommend doing some good wrist warm-ups. I did a wrist warm-up before I started this video. It's very important to protect your wrist. Now, balancing tabletop with the left foot. Extend it out. Point the toes towards the mat. Extend your right hand straight out. And breathe. I'm going to stay here for 5 deep breaths. Imagine one person pulling your hand and somebody else pulling your foot, all while your left hand is pushing away from the mat. This is controlled. You can either stay in this position or you can do some crunches with us. Begin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And turn to the mat. We're going to take our right foot, place it between our hands. Tuck the toes on our left. We're going to come up into high lunge. Reach your hands straight up above your head. Feel that extension in your hips. And breathe. Three more breaths. Take your left hand, place it on the mat. Take your right arm, extend it into the sky. Reach for the sky with your right hand. Come back, frame the right foot, place your left knee down, slide the right foot back into tabletop. Relax it, shake it out here a little bit. You can ease back, stretch out your toes. Then we're going to take our left foot, place it between our hands, tuck the toes, come up for high lunge again on the left side. You want to barely see your toes over your left knee. I want reaching for the sky. Engaging those hips. To the underside of your left thigh, the top side of your right thigh. Everything's working together while you're breathing. Three more breaths here. You can hold it. Bring your arms down by your side. Take your right hand, place it on the mat. Extend your left into the sky. Reach for the sky. Feel that twist in your left hip. Breath. Now frame the left foot, put the right knee down, slide the left foot back, and back in the tabletop. We're going to come up to down dog and see how this feels. Now, you want to try and get a straight line from your hands to your hips. Don't worry about how much your knees are bent. That's not the important part here. Let's slowly take our hands and walk them back to our feet. Stay right here in a forward fold. And place your hands, your forearms on top of your head, if you like, or you can just hang there. Inhale, come halfway up, extend the spine. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, come all the way up, roll through the spine, feel it one spine at a time, into Tadasana. Engage your core, your hips, your tailbone, sinking your shoulders downward, raising your heart to the sky. And breathe. Three more breaths right here. This is a pose you actually engage your body in. Relax. And come to the center of your mat. I'm going to try something I don't do as often, which is eagle pose. So if I'm a little off on it with my balance, it's okay. Start with my most difficult side. Let's take your left elbow, lay it under your right elbow, curl your hands in, stand straight, wrap your right foot around your left calf, raise your elbows, and sink into this pose. Hold it here as long as you can. Two more breaths. Gently ease back up, lowering your elbows to standing position. Now eagle pose, the opposite side. Take your right elbow, place it over your left, curl your hands in. Curl your left leg around, raise your elbows, and sink your knees, your hips down, and raise your elbows. Hold it here for 3 long breaths. Ease back up to standing position. I'm going to spread your legs out as wide as you can on the mat. This is a wide-legged forward fold. I'm going to keep your hips as far forward as you can. Get a slight bend in your knees is good. Do not keep them locked out straight. Engage them. Tuck your toes in a little bit closer than your heels. Gives you a little bit of that twist to engage those quads. And you're going to gently lean forward, trying to keep your hips as far forward as you can. I'm going to stay here for about 15 breaths. You can grab your ankles. You can touch the mat. You can just lay your hands there or just hang there. Remembering to breathe and extend the spine. Exhale. Just ease into the pose. Don't force yourself. Three more breaths here. Take your hands, place them back on your hip flexors, and gently bend your knees a little bit. If you have to heel tug them in a little bit, that's good, or that's okay. Engage your core as you're coming up. Face back towards the front of your mat. Gently get your way down to tabletop. And we're going to go back into plank for 5 breaths. Remember your hands under your shoulders. Your hips about the height of your shoulders. And stay here for about 5 breaths. Breathe in. Pushing away from the mat. Chaturanga. Ease halfway down. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Knees back into child's pose. Knees, mats width apart, toes touching. Walk your fingers out, extend your spine. Breathe in, feel your belly. Push onto the top of your thighs. Exhale. Feel your hips fall to your ankles. And breathe. Knees back up into tabletop. Into plank now. Take your left foot, your right foot, put it on the knife edge here. Your left foot stacked on top. Plank on the right side. Extend left hand into the air. Try and keep your core engaged and breathe. Here for 3 more breaths. Follow your left hand back to the mat. Come back into plank. Chaturanga. Lean forward. Come halfway down. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Back up. Plank on the left side. Reach your right hand as high as you can into the air, engaging your core. If anything, you can bring your hips up just a little past being straight. Push away from the ground with your left hand and breathe. Your drishti, which is your gaze, should be pointing towards your right thumb. 3 more breaths. Follow your right hand back to the mat. Plank feels good now, doesn't it? Chaturanga. Move forward. Halfway down. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Push back up. And let me show you a modification for this chaturanga. It's simple. By putting your knees on the ground. Now chaturanga. All the way to the mat. We're going to go back into Sphinx Pose. With your elbows under your shoulders, engaging your core, tightening your butt muscles here. Just keep them well engaged. This helps strengthen the back, the lower back. And breathe. If you want a little deeper stretch here, you can go to seal pose simply by extending your hands or your arms, keeping your hands on the mat. If you cannot do this, don't. Just stay in Sphinx Pose if this is too much on your back. Stay here for 2 more breaths. Ease your elbows back to the mat. Take your hands, place them on your shoulders, push up to plank. Knees, mats width apart, toes touching, back to downward dog. back to your breath. Ease back up into tabletop. Let's find our way around to our sit bones. Sit with your legs out straight for a second. Walking them out a little bit, relaxing them. If you like to face your feet to the front of your mat, we're going to go into a seated forward fold. Just relax on this. Keep a slight bend in your knees. And you just fall forward. If you can grab your feet, fine. If not, that's okay. The whole purpose here is not to feel that hard stretch in the back of your legs. Just to feel that stretch in your back. Feel it in your lower back. Up around your shoulders. If you're able to grab your feet, you can feel a really good stretch. Pulling your shoulders away from you. Away from your body. While breathing. Inhale, extend the spine. Exhale, relax into the fold. Inhale, extend. Exhale, relax. You'll notice the longer you stay in this pose, the more relaxed you become if you're not forcing it. And each inhale sends energy into those spaces in your spine. And each exhale, you'll notice your nose is getting a little closer to your knees. But don't force it, just let it happen. Stay here for about 7 more breaths. Remembering not to force it. Just relax into this fold. Three more breaths. Gently start sliding or walking your hands back where your torso is upright. Relax, get centered out. That's good. Find your way to your back the gentlest way possible for you. Just relax here a second. And feel your spine, how it's straightening itself back out. I'm going to take our left knee, bring it up. We're going to put our right foot across our left knee. Look up, reach in, thread that needle. You can either raise your leg in the air, point your toes back towards your forehead and pull that. Or I like to keep my shin parallel with the mat. I can ease back on pull my left thigh back to my belly and get a really good stretch on my right piriformis. Remember to breathe energy into those areas that you're feeling, and exhale the love. Gently release your left leg. Let your foot go back to the mat. And put your right foot to the mat. Now take your left foot, place it on top of your right knee. And thread the needle with the right leg. Like I said, you can keep your leg straight up. Just make sure you point your toes back towards your forehead. If you would rather keep your shins parallel with the mat, get a little deeper stretch, and pull your right thigh towards your belly, and breathe. Remember to take your left foot and point it back towards your knee. This engages the ligaments, keeps your knee from twisting. When you feel anything in your knee, back out of this pose just a little bit. You're supposed to feel this all through your thigh into your piriformis right here. Here for 3 more breaths. Relax easily, gently back to the mat. Put your hands under your thighs and rock back up into a seated position. Bend your knees, put your feet flat on the mat. On a reverse tabletop, you can put your hands like this. I suggest to bring them a little closer to your hips. You can set them like this. The object is to engage your core and feel a stretch right here, the front side of your shoulders when you come up. Breathe in, raise your hips. And breathe. And you can rock forward gently. Feel that in the front of your shoulders. Or you can just stay static and be still. Breathe. Two more breaths. Exhale, gently release your hips back to the mat. Take your forearms, lay them across your knees, and relax a second and breathe. Find your way to your back. Bring your knees in to your chest. If you can wrap your knees on the inside of your elbows and grab, that's fine. If not, what's important is to keep your back flat on the mat. You don't want to raise it in the air, raise your hips in the air and curl your back. Just keeping everything flat. Give yourself a big giant hug. Feel your breath push into the top of your thighs. When you exhale, your backbone go to the mat. One more breath. Gently ease your feet back to your mat. I'll lie here in corpse pose. Spread your feet out to the corners of your mat. Just get comfortable here. Make sure your spine is lengthened. Lay your hands down with your palms facing in the air, facing the sky, receiving all the gifts from the hard work and the love you have put into your body today. So lie here and relax and breathe. Let's go back to your normal breath. Remain with that breath. Breathe in, feel your chest and belly rise. Exhale. Feel your body sink into the mat. Notice how you feel in all the different parts of your body. Your feet, your ankles, your knees, your hips. How your backbone is feeling against the mat. The backs of your shoulders, they're relaxing into the mat. Your tongue, take the tongue off the roof of your mouth. You can let your mouth open just a little and relax every single part of your body. Come to your normal breath. I'm going to remain silent here the next couple of minutes. And think about what's going on here and now. Not what's happening after practice, just right now. You can either raise your hands in prayer to your heart or your third eye. I like my third eye because it kind of connects the rest of my body to this chakra. Thank yourself for showing up to the mat today. This is all for you. The light and love in me honors and respects the light and the love in you. Please go throughout the rest of your day, coming back to your breath. Thank you and namaste. You can remain here on the mat for as long as you like. Once this video is ended, and thank you again for showing up for yourself.